Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to unpack a completely brilliant, mindful Japanese philosophy that honestly might just be the ultimate cure for the modern crisis of living paycheck to paycheck. Look, if you've ever felt like you make a decent living, but then somehow, magically, you still have absolutely nothing left at the end of the month, well, you are definitely not alone. So together, let's explore how this century-old practice of intention can just completely rewire how we think about money. And the best part? Absolutely no complicated spreadsheets required. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the leaky bucket trap, then the frictionless money problem. After that, we'll break down the pillars and buckets, learn how to defeat the dopamine loop, and finally, we'll redefine wealth. All right, starting with section 1, the leaky bucket trap and how to stop the bleeding. To really wrap our heads around our modern financial crisis, I want you to imagine two guys standing in a massive pouring rainstorm. Man A is holding this gigantic bucket, which represents a really high salary. But here's the catch. His bucket has 100 holes punched in the bottom of it. So the rain pours in, but it pours right back out just as fast. At the end of the storm, he's totally exhausted, he's stressed out, and he's completely broke. Man B, on the other hand, is holding a tiny cup, representing a much lower salary. But his cup is solid steel, 0 holes. He catches every single drop of his little drizzle, and when his cup fills up, he pours it into a barrel, and then another one. By the end of the storm, Man B is wealthy. What's really interesting about this slide is that it completely exposes a modern myth. We all obsess over income, right? But if you have bad spending habits, a massive salary is literally just speeding up the flow of waste. You don't get richer, you just leak way faster. Now, the Japanese have understood this reality for over a century. Get this. By using the exact system we're exploring today, Japanese housewives who historically acted as the secret CFOs of their households have managed to save up to a staggering 35% of a modest single income. 35%. So what exactly is stealing all of our money today? That brings us to section 2, the frictionless money problem, and why we desperately need to reintroduce just a little bit of pain back into our lives. You know, we're terrible with money right now, mainly because money has become completely invisible. We just tap our cards, we double-click for Apple Pay, we hit buy now with Amazon one-click. Corporations have spent literal billions of dollars designing this entirely frictionless spending environment. And why did they do that? Because of a fascinating psychological phenomenon called the pain of paying. See, when you hand over physical, cold, hard cash, your brain registers actual emotional pain. It hurts. But when you just tap a glowing screen, that pain is completely numbed. You don't actually feel the loss until the end of the month when that credit card statement hits your inbox. And by then, well, the damage is already done. Frictionless tools are basically stealing your life energy because they remove that natural, built-in psychological friction that naturally makes you stop and think. And this is exactly where our solution comes in: Kakeibo. Invented way back in 1904 by Japan's very first female journalist, Hani Motoko, Kakeibo translates to household financial ledger. But it's so much more than that. It is a highly intentional act of reintroducing friction. It's not some fancy app. It is a physical book and a pen. Think about it. When you actually have to manually write down $6.50 for an iced latte, your brain processes that transaction in a completely different way. You suddenly find yourself asking, wait, is this latte really worth the ink? Is it worth the physical effort of writing it down? Kakeibo isn't just a budget. It's a quiet act of rebellion that turns mindless consumption into a mindful, deliberate practice. All right, moving to section 3, the pillars and buckets, or structuring your survival. Let's get into the mechanics. Okay, let's break down the tactical formula. The traditional trap that most of us fall into is taking our income, spending it all throughout the month, and then crossing our fingers and trying to save whatever happens to be left over, which, let's be honest with ourselves, is almost always zero. But Kakeibo flips this equation completely on its head, and this brilliantly illustrates how Kakeibo mastery works. It's income minus savings equals spending. You pay yourself first. So if you make $3,000 and you want to save $500, you remove that $500 immediately. Gone. You now have to survive on $2,500. What this does is create a state of artificial scarcity. When you have visibly less money available, you become incredibly creative, and you're absolutely forced to prioritize your must-haves way above your nice-to-haves. Now, from that remaining pool of money, Kakeibo categorizes every single expense into one of 4 buckets. Bucket number 1, survival needs. This is your rent, utilities, basic groceries, medicine, the non-negotiables. Bucket number 2, optional wants. Now pay super close attention here, because this specific bucket is where the financial battle is ultimately won or lost. Things like dining out or new clothes go here. Bucket number 3 is culture. Think books, museums, movies. Interestingly, Kakebo actually encourages spending here because enriching your mind is seen as a vital investment. And finally, bucket 4, extras. This is for unexpected stuff like car repairs or maybe birthday gifts. The trick is, every single evening, you sit down for literally just 3 minutes and physically write your daily receipts into these buckets. It's a daily checkup that keeps your finances breathing and alive, rather than doing a depressing autopsy at the end of a month when all the money is already gone. And for that highly dangerous optional wants bucket, the fun money, Kakebo relies heavily on the physical envelope method. At the start of the month, you withdraw your exact fun budget in cash and you stick it in an envelope. When you go out with friends, you only take cash from that specific envelope. When it's empty, well, the fun is over for the month. You literally cannot cheat physics. An empty envelope cannot buy a beer. Seeing that stack of physical bills shrink and disappear gives you this visceral, gut-level sense of time and resources running out, which honestly is the ultimate teacher for mastering impulse control. Next up, Section 4, defeating the dopamine loop through intentional spending. This right here is where Kakebo offers its absolute strongest psychological defense. We live in an era where you see something shiny, you click it, and it magically arrives on your doorstep tomorrow. It's a dopamine loop that completely destroys wealth. So Kakebo introduces a strict 30-day cooling off rule for your wants. When you see a non-survival item you desire, you do not buy it. Instead, you write it down on a wish list and you wait exactly 30 days. After a full month goes by, you look back at that list and you really confront yourself. Did I actually need this thing? Or was I just bored or hungry or maybe a little sad? I promise you 90% of the time, that urge will have completely vanished. You're literally saving money simply by doing nothing. And this actually connects directly to another really beautiful Japanese concept called monozukuri. Basically, this translates to a deep, profound respect for materials and craftsmanship. Think about it. The entire modern consumer economy relies on you being constantly dissatisfied with what you currently have. But monozukuri teaches you to find deep satisfaction in maintenance. So before you rush out to buy a brand new phone, you sit down, you clean your old one, you buy a new case, you delete all the junk files. Before you buy new shoes, you take the time to polish your old ones. Finding joy in repairing what you already own is this direct, passionate act of rebellion against the disposable consumer economy. It shifts your mindset so you become the master of your material world rather than just a slave to the shopping mall. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, redefining wealth and widening the gap. So now we shift from just the basic mechanics of budgeting to the true underlying purpose of money. At the end of every single month, a Kakebo practitioner engages in something called hansei, which means reflection. You sit down with your ledger and you ask yourself the hard questions. Why did I spend $50 on drinks last Tuesday? Why did I spend $200 on Uber Eats this month? Was I just feeling lazy? Was I depressed? Was I totally stressed out at work? And to be clear, this isn't about guilt-tripping yourself. You're acting as an objective scientist, just collecting data on your own behavior. Because once you identify that, say, stress triggers a $50 takeout order, you can build a way better feedback loop for next month, like forcing yourself to take a free 20-minute walk when you're stressed instead. It's all about a system of continuous, very gentle improvement. So the crucial point is this major realization: wealth is a ratio. It is not a number. It is entirely about the gap between what you make and what you spend. Look at man A. He makes $200,000 a year, but he spends $200,000. He literally has zero wealth. He's totally trapped on a treadmill. But man B, he makes only $50,000, but he only spends $30,000. He saves $20,000 a year. Man B is vastly, vastly richer than man A because man B actually owns his time. The whole philosophy of Kakebo is entirely focused on widening that specific gap so you can buy your freedom. To do this, you really have to fundamentally reframe how you view savings. Savings shouldn't feel like this restrictive, awful prison of money you aren't allowed to touch. No way. Every single dollar you save is essentially a tiny employee that works for you. When you manage to save $1,000, you are basically hiring 1,000 tiny little workers who are going to invest and grow and eventually buy you a day in the future where you simply do not have to work. You aren't hoarding cash, you are buying freedom. So based on everything we've talked about, I want to give you a 7-day Kakebo challenge to help you step off that treadmill. Here's what we're going to do. Step 1, go get a physical notebook. Step 2, for the next 7 days, write down every single cent you spend, manually. Coffee, gas, gum, everything. Step 3, at the end of the week, take a red pen and circle all of your wants. And step 4, calculate the shock total. I guarantee you will be absolutely stunned at how much invisible money you are literally setting on fire on a weekly basis, but you have to pick up a pen and physically confront it. Awareness is always the first step to mastery. Remember, your life is a ledger. You only have limited time and you only have limited resources. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Are you spending your ledger of life on things that just rust and rot away? Or are you spending it on true freedom? I'd love it if you drop into the comments right now and confess your guilty pleasure leak. You know, that one daily coffee, or that sneaky in-app purchase, or that late night takeout order that is quietly draining your future freedom. Let this explainer be the exact catalyst you need for your new financial mastery. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.